Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, the second McLaren launch video of the year, because they've done it in twos this year. Now, they revealed what their livery looked like. That came out, like a month ago, something like that. And here we are with the car itself. So, this is interesting. They've released what their actual car looks like. So we knew what the livery looked like. This is the car itself. The first very, very interesting thing to point out is that I think the black on the car is paint, which is very surprising. Let's just have a look at the car here. So here's an image. Let's try and... it's not the best quality image, but we can try and zoom in. And, look, that looks like it's got a shine to it to me. That does not look like carbon fibre. So all these teams who have come out with these cars, weight-saving cars with a black carbon fibre, that looks like black paint. So I don't think that McLaren went for this livery because they want to save weight. I think they've legitimately thought this is a good design with legit paint. So that is pretty huge, in my opinion, here, for what this car is, that they haven't gone the weight-saving route. Now, they will have their shakedown later on today at Silverstone, so we will see what is paint, what is carbon fibre. We'll see it in a more natural light, and we'll be able to see from there what is going on with this colour scheme. But I think that is legitimately paint. Now, they haven't given too many angles of this, so we can't really see like the back of the car or like the inside of the side pods from what I've seen so far, unless they have released any more photos. No, I don't think they have. But yeah, that is interesting. The second interesting thing, now you may be able to see here, I've already made a thumbnail for this video, and it's the word concerning. Because I am concerned about this car. Because when you look at it here, to me, it doesn't look like an evolution. Now, of course, I'm no aero expert, I'm no car designer, I am just a simple fan who has eyes and can see things. But this looks like last year's car. From the side pod design to basically everything. I mean, the inlet and the side pod looks a bit flatter, maybe, but apart from that, this looks exactly the same as last year's car. There's no real evolution. Like, if we have a look, have I got the photos up here? Yes, here is the Aston. This is the new Aston on their shakedown yesterday. What we can see here is this side pod is incredibly different from the one the year before. It seems massively cut down at the back. The inside of the inlet here is completely different. It's basically this tray section. The same with the Ferrari. It's very different to last year's car, especially the side pod inlet seems to be the big innovation area of this year thus far. So these cars, you can tell, even with the little aeronautical knowledge that I have, you can tell that these are evolutions on what happened last year. Then you go to the McLaren, and it's just not. You look at this and go, that's not an evolution. This is the same car. Then my fears are doubled here, because this is a quote from Andreas Stella that has come out today alongside the car launch. He says, there are a number of innovations on the car, but not all the areas we want to address have been completed for our launch spec car. Those areas now become the focus of our in-season development. And now that, to me, is the exact same thing that we had this time last year. McLaren have turned up at the start of a season with a car that isn't ready. This is last year's car. They haven't developed it. They will have developments coming, but it's not there. So I don't, maybe I'm entirely wrong, and maybe they'll come out of the gates really well. But from what I can see here, I think we're turning up to testing with a very down McLaren. We're going to have the first few races where they're not going to necessarily be in the mix, and then the upgrades will come. It's the exact same story as last year. It's almost a tradition now for McLaren to turn up to testing with a bad car. I think this will be like the third or fourth year in a row that McLaren turn up with a car that isn't good enough. Now, the positive point for McLaren fans out there is look at last year and look how incredibly well they did with the upgrades that they brought. So, he's saying about our in-season development. That will probably be very good because from history, their in-season development is very good, and at one point they will have a car that they are happy with, but it will not be the start. And, when McLaren are talking about we want to challenge for titles, we want to be up there in the mix, you're not going to win a title if you have to wait 6 races for a decent car to turn up. That's just not how it works, especially when you're going against the likes of Max Verstappen and Red Bull, who last year were basically perfect. So it just seems once again that McLaren just haven't been able to get it right. And maybe they spent too much time last year on the upgrades. Because surely they should have been focused on this year rather than last year. They were never going to win anything last year. They were definitely not going to win any titles. In terms of race wins, maybe, very unlikely. There was only one race that wasn't won by a Red Bull. So why wasn't there focus on this car straight away? They added the upgrades. It looked really good from Austria onwards. Why not switch across then? It just seems like they're constantly on the back foot. They're a team that can make good cars and can make good upgrades and have 2 fantastic drivers. But it just seems from a technical point of view, McLaren are always like 5 steps behind the likes of Red Bull and 2 or 3 steps behind the likes of your Ferrari, your Astons, your Mercedes. And I really don't understand why. With all the money that you have, all the technology they have, why are they constantly on the back foot? It makes very, very little sense. But who knows? Also today, we have got the Mercedes launch. Mercedes are also doing a shakedown today at Silverstone, so maybe they'll have a little race. That could be fun. But yeah, so I won't be able to be reacting to the Mercedes right away. I think Mercedes is at 10:30. So I won't be able to do that straight away. But I'll be here later on this evening with like 5, 6-ish, around that time, UK time. I'll be able to make a video on that. So that is coming later on today. And maybe if we see some stuff from the shakedown from McLaren, I'll include that in a video there as well. But yeah, so this is the McLaren for this year. It doesn't fill me with hope. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I reading too much into this? Do you think McLaren can come out the gates and look pretty good? Testing will be the big revealer here, but I don't think McLaren are going to be too positive going into it. So as I said, I'll be here later on today for the Mercedes launch, and then tomorrow is Red Bull, and that's the last one. Now, the Red Bull one will be very interesting because they like to put on a big show. That's something I've noticed in like the difference from last year to this year is the aspect of the huge show has kind of gone. Every team used to have these big performances in their launches, whereas now it's been McLaren, Aston, Haas, Ferrari. They've always kind of had, here's a 1-minute video. Like, here it is, off you go now. So I wonder what Red Bull will do, especially with the whole Christian Horner stuff going on at the minute. Do they want to put on a big show with Christian in the focal point doing a lot of the talking if in 1 month he won't necessarily be there? Who knows how that's going to end out going. But yeah, should be very interesting. Then, of course, this time next week is testing. My favourite time of the year. I've actually taken days off work, Wednesday and Thursday next week, so I can just watch testing all day and get the best coverage for you at home. I won't be able to get the day off on Thursday, but I'll still be doing a lot of coverage on it on Thursday. So subscribe for all of that to come over the next week. Until then, though, let me know what you think of this McLaren, and I'll see you later on today. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.